What's up, Cowboys Nation? The Dallas Cowboys are in a crucial offseason, looking to improve in every way possible to finally make that Super Bowl push. After years of coming up short, the pressure is on Jerry Jones and the front office to make bold moves that will get this team over the hump. Free agency and the draft are right around the corner, and the Cowboys have some big decisions to make. Before we dive into today's discussion, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're bringing you the latest Cowboys news, rumors, and analysis, and you don't want to miss a thing. Now let's get into it. Last offseason, the Cowboys took a passive approach to free agency, making only a few signings, most notably bringing back Ezekiel Elliott and adding veteran linebacker Eric Kendricks. While Kendricks played well, Elliott's second stint with Dallas didn't go as planned. This year, things have to change. With a new head coach in place, the front office may finally be willing to spend money on impact players instead of relying solely on the draft. And one of the biggest needs for this team, linebacker. That's where Nick Bolton comes into the conversation. Former NFL scout Brian Broaddus recently suggested that the Cowboys should target the Kansas City Chiefs' star linebacker in free agency rather than spending big to re-sign players like Osa Odigizua or Jordan Lewis. Could Bolton actually be an option for Dallas? Let's break it down. If you're not familiar with Nick Bolton, let me give you a quick rundown. At just 24 years old, Bolton has already won 2 Super Bowls and has established himself as a key piece of the Chiefs' defense. In 2024, despite battling some injuries, he still managed to put up 106 tackles, 3 sacks, and 2 fumble recoveries. And let's not forget, Bolton shines on the biggest stage. During Super Bowl LVY, he made a game-changing fumble recovery for a touchdown, proving that he's not just a regular season player, he steps up when it matters most. Dallas needs a player like that. The Cowboys' linebacker situation is uncertain at best. Micah Parsons is a generational talent, but he plays a hybrid role and can't be counted on as a full-time inside linebacker. Eric Kendricks was solid, but is aging and might not return. DeMarvion Overshown showed promise but suffered a serious knee injury, putting his availability for 2025 in question. Marist Liufau has potential but is still raw and unproven. Simply put, the Cowboys need a leader in the middle of their defense. Bolton would immediately bring stability, toughness, and a championship mindset. His ability to diagnose plays, attack the ball carrier, and provide sideline-to-sideline coverage would be a game-changer for Dallas. And let's not forget, he's only getting better. Now here's the big question. Would the Cowboys actually spend money to sign Bolton? Historically, the answer would probably be no. Dallas has preferred to draft and develop players rather than spend big in free agency. But this year might be different. After another disappointing playoff exit, Micah Parsons himself has put pressure on Jerry Jones, making it clear that he wants a contract extension. Better players around him, Parsons knows that if the Cowboys are going to compete for a Super Bowl, they need to add proven talent, not just draft projects. Bolton wouldn't come cheap, but he wouldn't break the bank either. His projected contract could be in the range of $12 to $15 million per season, which is a reasonable price for a top-tier linebacker entering his prime. Of course, linebacker isn't the only position the Cowboys need to address. There are a few other free agents that Dallas should consider. 1. Stefon Diggs, WR Texans. Yes, Stefon Diggs is coming off a major knee injury, and yes, he's 31 years old. But if the Cowboys want to add another weapon next to CeeDee Lamb, Diggs could be the perfect veteran presence to help Dak Prescott and the offense take another step forward. Dallas desperately needs a reliable number 2 receiver, and if Diggs can stay healthy, he could still be a dangerous playmaker. 2. Cam Robinson, OT Vikings. The Cowboys' offensive line struggled in 2024, and if they don't have the cap space for a big-name tackle, Cam Robinson could be a solid, affordable option. He might not be an all-pro, but he's a dependable veteran who could help stabilize the line and give Prescott better protection. The biggest question for this team remains how aggressive they will be in free agency. If Dallas wants to run it back with mostly the same roster and rely on the draft, we'll probably see another early playoff exit. If they're serious about competing for a Super Bowl, then adding a player like Nick Bolton should be a priority. It all comes down to Jerry Jones and whether or not he's finally willing to break old habits and spend on elite talent. FL legend Lawrence Taylor one of the greatest defensive players in history, took a shot at Parsons in a recent interview. His issue, Parsons' involvement in his podcast, The Edge with Micah Parsons, which he produces with Bleacher Report. Taylor didn't hold back, saying, "He's a great player, but guys, let's do more. Let's play more football and less podcasts." Ouch. Now, let's be real. This isn't the first time someone has questioned whether Parsons' podcast is a distraction. But here's the thing. There's absolutely no evidence that it's affecting his performance. Parsons missed 4 games last season, but still put up elite numbers. 12 sacks, tied for first in the NFC, and one of the best defenders in the league. Oh, and let's not forget, he just joined an exclusive club of players who recorded at least 10 sacks in each of their first 4 seasons. The other names on that list? Dwight Freeney, Derek Thomas, and Reggie White, all Hall of Famers. So should Cowboys fans really be concerned? Or is this just another case of an old-school player not understanding how today's athletes balance their careers with other interests? Parsons fires back and doubles down on his training. Parsons, as you'd expect, isn't taking this criticism lightly. He recently spoke about his off-season plans, and let me tell you, he's locked in. "I want to get a little stronger. I get a little more powerful. There are some things that I want to work on that I'm implementing into my off-season program." Parsons knows exactly what he needs to improve, and he's making the necessary adjustments. He also acknowledged that learning a new defensive scheme will be challenging now that Dan Quinn has left for Washington, but instead of making excuses, he's embracing the process. That's part of being a pro. You've got to make adjustments. That's the mindset of a leader, someone who is focused on winning, not just talking. Parsons' call to action. Cowboys must be aggressive. This offseason, one of the biggest storylines. For the Cowboys, this offseason is what Jerry Jones and the front office will do to improve this roster. And Parsons has made it clear he's not happy with how things have been handled in the past. The talent is there. We've just got to be aggressive the same way other teams did. I don't want to sit back and watch other teams build and us stay the same. Cowboys fans, does that sound familiar? This team has had multiple years of playoff disappointment, and every offseason we hear about how they'll be aggressive. But when free agency comes around, it's the same story. Bargain bin signings, no major splashes, and then hoping for the best. Parsons wants that to change. He's calling for Dallas to retain key players and go after big names in free agency. The question is, will the front office listen? Meanwhile, the Cowboys are finalizing changes to their coaching staff with Steve Shinko coming in as QB coach, Carlos Polk as assistant special teams coach, and Ken Dorsey as the passing game specialist. New head coach Brian Schottenheimer has a lot to prove, and NFL executives are split on whether he was the right hire. Some believe he's underrated, while others ranked him dead last among all the new head coaches this offseason. The biggest challenge? Getting this team to be more physical. That's something tight ends coach Lunda Wells emphasized. One of the biggest things that we're really focusing on offensively is being a little bit more physical up front, really on both sides of the ball, as a team being physical, dominating the line of scrimmage. If that actually happens, it could be a game changer for this team. Key roster moves to watch. A couple of key names to watch this offseason. DeMarcus Lawrence and Brandon Cooks have contracts that void on February 17th. Safeties Donovan Wilson and Malik Hooker could be cap casualties. And with Dak Prescott pushing for a stronger run game, the Cowboys might be looking at adding offensive line help in free agency. They don't have the cap space for a superstar signing, but someone like Vikings OT Cam Robinson could be a realistic target. Now it's time for you to sound off. Would you like to see Nick Bolton in a Cowboys uniform next season, or do you think the team should spend their money elsewhere? And what about Stephon Diggs and Cam Robinson? Are they the right pieces to help this team get to the next level? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's get the debate going. And before you go, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Cowboys!